And there we have another quality production brought to you by this dick. Yo, what's up my G's? Welcome back to the channel. Right, we're gonna do a service today on a Nissan Primastar, which is a Renault Trafic. Pretty much same thing, same engine. So we're gonna do all them things. But first, before we do that, before we put an oil flush in it, we need to make sure that we can get the sump plug out. And seeing as I haven't got the correct tool for it, we're going to have to improvise. So let's just try and crack that off before we do anything else. So as you can see, it's a square one, which we haven't got. And it's not a 3/8 won't fit in, a quarter won't too small. So we are going to put a 16-point socket and just tap it over the edge of it, because it shouldn't be that tight. So let's just put that on there and just tap it on with a hamule and see if we can crack it off before we go any further. Right, that wasn't for working, so we've had to obtain more tools than what I would normally consider acceptable. I mean, I've got one of these tools, but it's not here. So you see this Allen key bit, we're going to put that in, and I'm going to knock a screwdriver up the side of it, see if we can get any purchase on it that way. Yeah, I was trying them other methods by knocking a screwdriver up the side of an Allen key, and I had a lot of purchase on it. I mean, I was turning it pretty hard and it still wasn't coming out because it was tight as fuck. So we've gone for our old method, Samuel peeps and a chiswas. So now we can put the flush in. So this is the petrol and diesel one that we're using, and the van is a little bit warm. It says to run it up to operating temperature first, but it's close enough. So then we just add it to it, or if it's here, yes. And well, I haven't undone it yet, so I'm not gonna fuck about filming that and struggle, but you can see what's gonna happen. That's gonna go in there like magic. And as you can see, I mean, that just looks like diesel, doesn't it? But let's pour that into there. And as I've mentioned before on the last one of these vans that decided to turbo itself on its own oil, these dipsticks are the dumbest fucking design ever. And I suspect this van hasn't had an oil change for quite a while, looking at how tight the sump plug was and what have you. So let's crank it up, start it up, leave it running for a little bit, and then flush that shit out. And that's the van running. And as you can see, we've got a variable fast idle control, as it says on the back of the engine flush. You just put more air into it to increase the idle. It's a very technical process. Right, so she's been running up to temperature now for a good 15 minutes or so. So let's turn it off and drop this shit out. Right, so first we're going to take this off, so then it lets some air in and lets it drain better. And then we are going to take the sump plug out, which I have already loosened off, but I've just nipped it back up. So I want to take that out now. And this is where it's best not to drop the sump plug, but you're going to get dirty at this point more than likely anyway, because it's all diesel oil and it's going to be hangingly black. Now, so as you can see, there's also an oil filter that needs removing, and we have somehow, fuck knows where from, but I've actually got a socket for it. So let's see if it fits. Amazing. Don't know where I've cashed that from. And then, before I take it all the way off, just let it drain out everywhere and it just stops things rusting. Yes, look at that. Right, and that's a new filter. That's the old filter, and as you can see there is a size difference, but what matters more is that bit, and that is the one listed for it. And obviously Euro car parts, they never get anything wrong, so it must be the right filter. So let's whiz that on, but first we need to spunk a bit of oil around there just to make it lubricated, because we like a bit of lubrication, makes everything better. And you don't need to use the socket to put that on, you just hand tighten it. Basically as tight as you can go with your hand. Hence the word hand tighten. So, as you can see, fuck all, because the sun's coming through. That is a new filter on. Right, and as the oil is still draining, we're going to change the hair filter for a new hairstyle. Now this is always a good indication as to, apart from obviously the colour of the oil which was hanging, is a good indication as to when it was last done, because the air filter is quite a visible part of the service aspect. So, I mean, it's got a screw missing, but haven't we all got a screw loose at some point? This is exciting stuff, you see, look, I'm undoing a screw. How long is it? Yes. Now what we do is we don't drop that screw, because it could go anywhere. And the air filter access, you just lift this little panel up. And then, there's the air box. And let's have a look. Actually, that's pretty clean. Cleaner than I expected anyway. But let's put a new one in. Which is just a reversal of the taking out process, as you might expect. I fucked up. That's take two. So now we put screws back in. You see, I have got my apprentice helping me, but he's doing what apprentices do best. Right, so that's back together minus a screw, but that was already out of it, and we haven't got one. We put that clip in for the MAF sensor, which probably won't stay in. And it should have finished draining by now, so let's put plug back in. And there's some extra rust protection, as you can see. And we haven't got a new copper washer, which would be preferable, but we haven't got. So let's put that in and let's just tighten that up. Right, now, as you can see, we still haven't got the correct tool, but with this Allen key, we can get quite a bit of purchase on that and crank it up pretty tight, which is probably tight enough, but just for good luck, we're just going to give it a little tap. Yeah, we're just giving it a little tap round, which, as you can see, it's put some nice burrs on there, but it should stop it from leaking. I would recommend using the correct tool, but needs must. Right, here's a useful thing with them. Robinson's Real Fruit Summer Fruits bottle with a top cut off makes a useful funnel, so we can put the oil in without just throwing it all over the floor. So let's see what happens with that. I think I know what's going to happen, but let's see what happens. It's probably still spill it. And here we have the new stuff, which is 540s, fully synthetic, which is what this engine takes. And if you're comparing that, well, you can't see inside it, but the old stuff looks like it might have been in there for a while. So we'll put some of this in without spilling it everywhere, potentially. As you can see, we've got a nice funnel going on. Watch it all fall out now. That's not enough, I'm going to have to put more in. So we've thrown nearly all of that in there, because this is supposed to take 4.8 litres and there's 5 litres in that bottle. So anyone who's good at maths will know that that's nearly all the bottle. Now there's no point in measuring it yet, I know it's about right, but one, it takes about 3 days to actually go down the dipstick tube because it's fucking stupid. And two, van's leaning backwards and we haven't run it yet. So we need to run it, circulate the oil, then leave it to settle. We'll pull it off the ramp so it's level, and then we'll top it up. We don't want to put too much oil in, because if you're not, then this potentially happens.
Definitely not the keys.
Right, so we're out of Gearingtons, and we'll start it up and just let it run for long. Oil light didn't come on to start with actually then, but let it run for long enough to fill the oil filter up, look underneath, make sure there's no leaks, and then we'll take her off the ramps. And now we've run it and we're on level ground, so let's check the oil. And it's not a tiny bit in it, which is fair enough because I've only got a tiny bit left. So let's just fack it all in there. And that'll have to be enough because it's all we've got, and should be about right. We'll double check it in a minute, but it's going to be between the lines. And take our funnel out, put our intercooler pipe back into the little hook. Oh, I didn't break that, it was already broken. And let's check the level now. Even though the oil will still be in the dipstick tube, so it's going to say that it's high. Oh, it's actually saying it's alright. Look at that side of it. So yeah, happy days, nice and clean as well. Now, we might as well change this fuel filter, which is a T30 Torx. And we remove this screw here, and then it's probably going to fall off. I should really be holding it. And this lid should come off actually. There we go. And then we take the fuel filter out. Get diesel all over us. Oh, that's quite dirty. And yes, as you can see, we've got Euro Car Parts have supplied this. No more needs to be said. So one extra trip later and we have the right filter, so we're going to put that in. So we just put that in there and it just slides on nice and snug, and we have new rubbers. And there is another one on the top of the bolt, so we'll take that off as well. We'll change both of them. So that's one new rubber johnny, and then we have another one which goes in here. That's that in there, and we've put a little bit of diesel around it just to help it seal. And there is little liney uppy pip things there which we put in. So, and then, oh, you can't see anything because my finger's in where that's mint. Then we tighten that up. Right, and now to bleed up the filter, you undo this little nipple on here, so you twist the nipple and then you just cycle the ignition. So just turn the ignition on, will you, pal? And then turn it off. Right, we'll just do it again to make sure. Back on. Still air coming out of it. Back off. And we just keep on doing this until no more air comes out of it. Right, back on. And then when you get it where there's no air bubbles coming out of it, then it should be okay to start. Just try it one more time. And that's pretty much there. And it's nice and diesel all down there now, which is pretty sick. Right, go and start it. This is where it probably puts out and then we're fucked. Car seems happy. Wipe it all off, make sure no diesel's leaking, and then we are done. That is the end. And then the next thing, obviously, is you clean this off and make sure it's nice and clean for the next person that wants to use it. It's got some rust inhibiting properties when it's pissed diesel out everywhere, but also just mention that on some of them, the Renault Trafics and what have you, they have a different filter housing, and they have a little ball sack pump that you squeeze instead of an electronic pump. But it's just the same, you just fill it up by manually rather than flicking the ignition. But yeah, same deal really. And always remember to dispose of your oil in a proper manner. Oh yeah, definitely. No, I'm just fucking with you, of course I'm not going to do that, take it to it. I haven't been putting any foot taps in my recent videos, so what we'll do is we'll do one and we'll call this a Facebook Marketplace Condition 1 Once Trainer Foot Tap.